It's a question about God. When we think about God being most satisfied in us, when we are glorified in us, when we're most satisfied in Him, we got to think about who God is first. And you begin the book talking about the happiness of God. So I want to begin there. Titus has a question about that. So Titus, why don't you start us off?
So I'm going to read my question because I don't want to mess up your words, and it's long. So, God possesses an infinite, perfect, full, unshakable happiness in the plenitude of His Trinitarian life. But if, as you write, God seeks to maximize His enjoyment of His own glory and loves to behold His glory reflected in His works, it seems that God's glory becomes dependent or alterable by creation and redemptive history. So my question is twofold. If God is perfectly happy and full in Himself, in what sense does He delight in His creation? And if God delights in His creation, in what sense is He perfectly happy and full in Himself?
I was talking to Professor of Philosophy, and I said, there's a few of these questions I want you to take, but you said, and you'll know which ones. So my guess is, as I look around this room, that question seems recondite. Anything to anybody? Is that question rooted in the Bible? So it is. And it's an unbelievably important question. But for those of you who may never have asked that question, like, how can God be fully happy forever in Himself and also delight in creation? Does His happiness go up when He creates the world? I mean, that's important. It creates pantheists if you answer it one way. Okay, it's biblical. Just a few biblical foundations before I try to give probably an inadequate answer, but best I can do. Because frankly, I mean, another preliminary, we're talking about God prior to universe, prior to time, prior to space. Does anybody have any conception of what that reality could be like? No, we don't. Mm-mm. It is totally other, right? The only access we have to something like God before creation is what He tells us. And if some of what He tells us is perplexing, like, that's to be expected. Okay. All of that is covering my rear end. It says in 1 Timothy 1:11 that God is a blessed God. The gospel of the blessed God. And the word blessed is not eulogitos, meaning we bless you, but rather makarios, which means happy. That's a fundamental text for why we talk about the happiness of God. He is a fundamentally happy God. Second biblical foundation for the happiness of God would be, the Lord is in the heavens, He does whatever He pleases. Pleases. Everything. Nothing can stop God from doing what He pleases. So how could He not be fully happy since He has no thwarting? You got thwarting all over your life, right? Everything thwarts you. Nothing thwarts God. He does whatever He pleases. Third foundation is Isaiah 42. He delights in His servant, who is Messiah, who is Jesus. This is my beloved Son, in whom I'm well pleased. I mean, if God is well pleased, that's super well.
Here it is.
The Son has always existed, and therefore, prior to creation, God, unlike the Muslim God, has been a community of divine persons who are thrilled with each other. When God looks upon the radiance of His glory reflected in the Son, as it says in Hebrews, He's looking at infinite beauty, and how could a all-wise God not delight fully in infinite beauty? Okay, so that's foundation piece number one that makes the question relevant. God is a happy God. Second implication, he has no needs. Acts 17:25, God is not served by human hands as though he needed anything. For he himself gives to all men life and breath and everything. He doesn't need you, he doesn't need me, he doesn't need the universe in order to be fully God. Third, he made the universe and he likes it. It's very good. This is very good. He rejoices in all his works. He rejoices in redemption, the prayer. I mean, I wrote a whole book called The Pleasures of God. There's a lot of them. Just read the Bible and God is continually rejoicing in his works. Okay. Question then. Why did he create? That'd be one way to pose the question. And since it's really clear that he's very happy with what he creates and takes delight in it, is he happier after creation than before? Is he less God before creation than after creation? How could a fully happy God, I think that's the first form of your question, be happy in creation without compromising the fullness and perfection of his deity? Okay, all that just to state the question again. But now you see, this is not, he didn't just make this up, and everybody who is a theologian for the last 2,000 years has wrestled with the question. It's extremely difficult to answer. So let me give you Edward's answer, which is mine, as much as I can, and then maybe add one more piece that not everybody thinks about. Edwards wrote a book called The End for Which God Created the World. You can hear the implication of the title. There's a purpose, and he's wrestling deeply with, did creation enhance the joy of God or make God more God? And his answer is, it is no sign of the defect of a fountain that it is prone to overflow. That's the key sentence. I can't improve on that sentence. It is no indication of the defect or deficiency of a fountain that it is prone to overflow. So if God found it in himself that he was prone to spill over with the enjoyment that he had in himself so that it would be shared with others, Edward says, don't call that a defect. Don't call that an improvement upon what he was, but a spilling over of what he was, a manifestation of what he was so that others can enjoy it. Okay, here's my little addition to that answer. It says in, I think it's, I always get 1st and 2nd Timothy mixed up. I think it's 1 Timothy 1:9. God saved us not because of deeds done by us in righteousness, but because of his own purpose and grace, which he gave us before the ages began. Whoa. He gave us grace before the universe existed. Why does the Bible say things like that? Like, I'd just rather not know that, maybe, because it creates huge issues for me. Or you've got Revelation 13:8, where my name and your name, if you're a Christian, is written in the book of the life of the Lamb who was slain before the foundation of the world. Our names are written in the book of life before the universe existed. Which means, in regard to this question, creation was not an occurrence to God. Like he didn't one day in eternity think, maybe creation would be a good idea. It's always been his idea. Now, the dangerous thing in saying that, it sounds like it might make creation part of God, but I don't think that follows. To say that he has in his mind a plan for creation, and he's going to delight in that overflow, I don't think makes nature or creation a part of God. But it does say that as he spilled over, displaying his fullness, that wasn't new. That in a sense, in as far as God rejoices in creation now, he had the same full idea that he was going to do it forever and was surely happy with that plan. And therefore nothing new has happened, essentially, in the joy of God. That's the best I can do. We can talk more later. Or better, talk to McLaughlin over there. Or us, the other faculty out here. Do better.
It's important to start there because this book is about God, right? Just the Bible is about God. And all the things you just said relate to us having a better picture of who we're worshiping, right? A number of the questions students have was about that, though. How do we properly worship God? And so I think we have a couple of those, which your book talks about quite a bit. Mariah, do you want to?